Welcome to Wednesday Reviews, the series where I take a look back at a location that I visited and review it. The first location that we're going to talk about is a UNESCO World Heritage Site named
Þingvellir,
which is Iceland's national park, right between the North American and the Eurasian tectonic plates. That means absolutely nothing to me because I don't know anything about geology. But what I do know is that there's this big long area that has water. This area is known as Silfra, the crack between two continents. Weird sounding to say that, but it's basically the seam of the earth slowly drifting apart. And it's world famous for snorkeling and diving. But in February, the water didn't look crystal blue like it does in pictures online. It looked black, still, cold, endless. Honestly, it was way more eerie than it was inviting. My nieces and I were laughing about the no underwater photography sign, and we decided that that must mean that there is a water monster in there, and it's hiding, maybe even Nessie, just slipping through like a portal to avoid paparazzi. At least that was the story we told ourselves. But it wasn't a place that I would ever jump into just to look around. We moved on from looking at the dark water to the buildings. Obviously, the church caught my attention. Simple, one room with a steeple. A church has stood on this location since 1017 AD. But this version wasn't built until 1859. It really is nearly identical to the one near the Black Beach. The one at the Black Beach was constructed in 1934. 75 years between the construction of the two. It's as if Iceland has a cookie cutter for churches and they just press them out across the landscape. The cemeteries here stood out to me a lot. Most of the headstones were black, and I don't know the reason for that, if that's just the kind of stone that they have or if it's a style choice. But against the snow, they were so striking. Dark stones scattered just across this white blanket. I'm always drawn to cemeteries, and this one felt especially stark. Beside the church and the cemetery were much larger connected buildings. They weren't from the original Parliament days in 930, back when people camped in turf huts and tents. These came centuries later, as a farmstead tied to the church built them, and today they're used for park staff and administration. Knowing that now gives them some context, but in the moment they just felt heavy and institutional and more forbidding than welcoming. What I actually remember most vividly is the bathroom. There was this huge window in front of the sinks with an incredible view, and a sign telling people not to squat on the toilet. Outside in the snow, my nieces and I built our very first snowman. And for all of the history around us, those were the memories that I'm taking back. From there, we drove to Gullfoss, which is a waterfall. It's one of Iceland's most famous waterfalls. And in the summer photos, it looks massive and amazing and very dramatic. Online, you can see dramatic photos of plunging water deep into a canyon. But in February, it looked and it felt more like a drainage ditch. So much of it was buried under snow that I couldn't even tell what I was supposed to be looking at. There was a marker with a bald man's head and face on it, Thomas Thomason, who owned the land. But I had no idea who he was at the time. What I learned later is that it was his daughter, which I cannot pronounce her name and I'm so sorry, but his daughter, who actually fought to save the falls. She did not want them turned into a hydroelectric plant. She remembered as Iceland's first environmentalist. And yet, as usual, even though she did all the work to save the falls, it's the bald guy that gets the credit and gets the memorial. We made a few snow angels here, but the spray of the air and the cold, cold water made everything just sharp and damp and icy, and the chill seeps through your coat and your hat and your shoes and just everything and sends you running back to the car. Compared to Gullfoss, which is just one huge curtain of water that you can see all at once, Gullfoss in the winter felt hidden and almost like it was holding back. Maybe I missed a lot. Maybe these are the best spots to be going to in the summer and not really in the winter. Maybe I just didn't know enough or appreciate the area fully. Either way, for me, the national park and the falls together come out to be a 3 out of 5 snowballs. I want to see these places the way that people see them and take pictures of them and post them online. But all I got to see was this wide blanket of snow. You couldn't really take in much. You were blinded by the white. I still think that this whole area is the most beautiful place that I've ever seen in my life. And I desperately want to see it again. But for the visit that I had, I can't give it any higher than a 3 out of 5. Thanks for listening to me talk to myself. If you like, press like. If you want to subscribe for more, please do. And until next time, wander often, wonder always, and stay safe on those back roads.